All right, now we're joined by Lorena Gonzalez, who's running for re-election to City Council Position 9. So go ahead with a 2-minute introduction.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Lorena, Seattle City Council Member, Position 9. I'm one of the 2 city-wide representatives, so the 36th Legislative District certainly falls within the area in which I have the pleasure of representing. Just as a reminder, I was with you all in 2015 and was proud to have received your all's endorsement then, or recommendation for a sole endorsement, and I was really proud when I received the sole endorsement for my current position by the membership of the 36th Legislative District. So really proud to be in front of you all again today. I grew up as a migrant farm worker in central Washington State in a little town called Grandview. Earned my first paycheck at the age of 8. I grew up in an immigrant household that spoke primarily in Spanish and the first lawyer in my family. I am seeking re-election because I believe that there is much more work that needs to be done on behalf of our city, and I've prioritized protecting and defending our immigrant and refugee communities. I have prioritized working families by proposing a 6-month paid leave, paid family, and medical leave program for Seattle working families, and most recently funded a legal defense fund to protect and defend our immigrant and refugee families in the amount of $1 million. Really proud of that work. And lastly, I continue to work steadfastly towards implementing an omnibus package of police accountability reform and want to be able to continue that work on behalf of the city.
Great, thank you. So now we have our 4 prepared questions that we're asking all candidates for City Council and Mayor. And I'll start with number 1. These are 2-minute answers. What is your strategy for implementing, leveraging, and perhaps improving the incentive zoning program to create diverse neighborhoods and assure affordable housing?
Well, we're no longer using the incentive zoning program, so I will say that I won't be doing anything to implement the incentive zoning program. What we will be doing is getting behind the mandatory housing affordability program, which is a mandatory program that requires for-profit developers both in the commercial area and in the residential area to contribute a certain percentage to our affordable housing trust so that we can build increased affordable housing throughout the city. I think it's really important for us to stay committed to that program and to make sure that the accountability mechanisms are in place so that we can rest assured, and the public can rest assured, that we are actually holding for-profit developers accountable in terms of their requirements under that mandatory housing affordability program, and have been very supportive of that program and will continue to be supportive of increasing our density with an eye towards creating a funding stream for affordable housing.
Great, thank you. So number 2, in your view, what is the city's role in assuring equal educational and achievement opportunity in Seattle public schools?
Well, I'm really proud of the fact that I was one of about, I think, 7 council members that went down to Olympia this a couple months ago for our lobby day. And one of our priorities down in Olympia was to advocate for equitable funding of education. Obviously, McCleary continues to be a significant problem, and we allocated a significant amount of resources through our lobbyists to fight back many of the Republican proposals, which sort of sounded appealing, but really did nothing more than effectively penalize cities like Seattle to carry the burden for paying for other districts' educational responsibilities. And so it was a little ironic that was being proposed when the Seattle public school systems are the ones who are seeing the most disproportionate results in terms of education outcomes, and yet we were expected to fund other rural districts schools that didn't have that disproportionality, but yet, we were being expected to subsidize those programs to the detriment of our students in our school districts. And so we played a significant role in the levy swap issues, and we're really proud about that. And I think that the other area where we continue to invest is in early education. The city is currently in the process of implementing an education action plan that will involve making sure that those wraparound services and those support services are in place to make sure their students are as successful as they possibly can, and that they can access the opportunities that we purport to provide them through a public education.
Thank you. Number 3, what are your specific recommendations for completion and follow-up steps of the Seattle Police Department consent decree and ongoing steps to improve department relations with Seattle's residents?
So I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee. I am vested with the responsibility on the City Council to oversee compliance with the Department of Justice consent decree. Before becoming a City Council member, I was a civil rights lawyer that actually sued the City of Seattle Police Department for police brutality and biased policing. And I am really lucky to be in a position now where I am leading the effort to pass a very massive police accountability reform package that will build on that and more pointedly will ensure that we continue to have sustainable police reform in our city. This is probably the most pivotal period of time for us to be doing this legislation. We expect that we will be in initial compliance with the consent decree in August of this year. So this legislation is important because this is our opportunity, our moment in time to ensure that the police reforms that were asked and demanded for by community are actually going to stick. And so I am leading that charge in council. We expect that legislation to be before full council on May 22nd, and we are working very hard to make sure that community, particularly communities that are disproportionately impacted by policing, are at the table and their voices are heard to make sure that this happens. So we'll be proposing a 3-legged system. The Community Police Commission will become permanent. It will have clear powers and authorities to weigh in on policy and reform changes that need to continue to happen at the police department. We're going to create an Office of Inspector General that will be fully funded to make sure that they can audit and investigate the system and have fidelity to the police reforms. And we're going to bolster the Office of Police Accountability by making sure that they have more civilians doing investigations.
Thank you. Question 4, what is your strategy for dealing with homelessness in Seattle?
This has been an issue that has really, that our city has really struggled with, that our region has really struggled with, and that our nation as a whole has really struggled with. I think that it's incredibly important for us to adopt and fully implement a people-centered approach, a housing-first model at a very large scale. And I think that we have a proposal before us that was proposed by the mayor called Pathways to Home that is a very holistic approach that really looks at this issue in a way that addresses both the upstream concerns with how is it that we can prevent housing instability, all the way to the back end is what happens when one becomes unstable in their housing. And so I think that it's really important for us to make sure that we are following the recommendations in the Barb Poverty Report that gives us these evidence-based strategies around how it is we can take people-centered approaches. And the reality is that in the city of Seattle, our emergency shelter system has become our de facto answer to how we house our unsheltered population. That and encampments have become the answer to how we address the unsheltered. And I think that the reality is that we are hearing from our human service providers